The terrifying moment the Delta Airlines plane touched down and went out of control.
All of a sudden, I just remember being fully sideways.
New cell phone footage shows the CRJ-900 as it landed hard, catching fire, skidding forward, and flipping to the right.
I was looking down and just seeing like sparks and flames and whatever was grinding against the ground. And then, yeah, it happened pretty dang quick, and we were just upside down hanging from our seatbelts.
Plumes of smoke rising into the air before fire crews arrived to douse the flames. All 80 people on board alive, but 21 in all taken to hospital, including one child who has since been released, along with most others, many treated for head and back injuries and fuel exposure. In the freezing cold, dozens of investigators now trying to determine what went wrong, already making some progress.
We've already removed the cockpit voice recorder, the flight data recorder, and we've sent them to our lab for further analysis.
As the accident transitions,
the airport CEO says it was a brutal week for air travel, more than 50 centimeters of snow falling over 5 days, grounding hundreds of flights in the process.
Monday was a clear day, though, and it was an operational recovery day for Toronto Pearson.
Toronto Tower, wind 270-23, gust 33, clear to line on 823.
But this audio from air traffic control warned pilots of tricky conditions on the runway.
Yeah, slight bump in the glide path.
At this point, there is no other explanation for what caused this crash landing.
And so, Nicole, I suppose that wreckage has to stay where it is for a while.
That's right. The plane is on 2 runways for at least 2 more days. And yes, that is going to cause more flight delays. But officials say it is important things remain as they are so transportation officials can get a good understanding of exactly what happened. We have more than 20 personnel from the Transportation Safety Board, U.S. officials, someone from the plane manufacturer taking a look at things, trying to find some answers.
All right. Nicole Williams, thank you. So let's pick up on what pilots are pointing to, the gusty conditions. Obviously, we won't know the cause of the crash for a while, but we can get some insight from a private pilot who's also a meteorologist, Johanna Wagstaff. So, Joe, can we talk about the winds at the time that plane was landing and what that plane is capable of handling?
So, Adrienne, we have a weather report from Pearson 12 minutes before the incident. We know winds were coming from the west, gusting to 65 kilometers per hour. Blowing snow was also reported, generally good visibility. Planes try and land into the wind. It helps slow the plane down, but in this case, there is what we call a crosswind component. So winds were coming about 40 degrees from the right. Now, every manufacturer and airliner has a crosswind limit. A lot of that comes down to pilot discretion. The CRJ-900 has a limit of about 69 kilometers per hour when winds are directly from one side. A lot of variables to parse out. We also know the conditions of the runway, some snow patches, but Adrienne, it was a 200-foot wide runway. Only 160 feet were shoveled, so it would have looked narrower from above. We can't say if any of these factors contributed, but they're ones that they will be thinking about a lot in the next few days.
And when a pilot is faced with those conditions, what are your options for how you handle that landing?
There's a couple things you can do to manage that crosswind. The recommendation for this type of plane is something we call crabbing. So you actually angle your nose towards the wind. The body of the plane is still moving forward on approach, and then just before landing, you decrab or straighten out. And then you flare the nose. You lift the nose just enough in those last few seconds to slow you down even more, get the main wheels on the ground, make it a more gentle landing. So we're also watching the rate of descent, which was higher than average based on flight radar data. Again, we can't say if these were factors, but these are variables pilots are trained to manage, but for sure investigators will be asking these ones over the next few days.
Okay, this helps. Thanks, Joe. CBC News meteorologist Johanna Wagstaff in Vancouver tonight. So already we're getting a better idea of why such a violent landing ended with no lives lost. Jamie Strachan looked into that and found there were several likely factors.
Delta Flight 4819 slams into the ground, careens down the runway, in the process loses a wing before flipping over. So how did all 80 people on board survive that?
Having all those people leave that aircraft, it really is an engineering marvel.
The plane's construction a major factor, says this aviation expert.
The aircraft is designed to break apart like that, designed to have crumple zones, just like you would in your car to absorb that impact so that it keeps that fuselage intact, protects those inside.
For those on board, the entire crash a scary, surreal blur.
There was like a big fireball out this left side of the plane. And when we got finished, it was I was upside down.
Everything, drop it!
Passengers credit the calm crew for clearing the plane quickly.
Just grateful to be here and grateful for how well the passengers acted and how well the flight crew responded and that everyone was able to get off the plane.
Flight crews prepare for even the most extreme scenarios, its union says.
That fire could have been much worse. That could engulf the plane in about 90 seconds, and that's why we're trained to get people off in that amount of time.
We need emergency services, runway 23. Yeah, we're on it. Our fire truck's coming out of the hall there.
Another key factor, firefighters directly assigned to Pearson Airport were on the scene minutes after the crash.
They were able to quickly knock down the spot fires. Once the fires were knocked down, the crews did make entry and perform primary search and rescue.
For those aboard Flight 4819, a sense of thanks that everything went right after everything went so very wrong.
At the end of the day, everybody's going to be fine, which is pretty insane to say after a plane crashing and flipping over on fire.
Jamie Strachan, CBC News, Toronto.